There we go, and that is us live, boys. Second time in a week. Obviously, we're minus Katie Hunter this time, but another UFC show and another review show from us. Chris Emmanuel, first of all, how are you this evening, buddy?
I'm all right, mate. Feeling potentially a little bit MMA'd out after trying to smash through that show after work tonight, so I could talk about it. But yeah, it's all good, all good. Nice day today, so feeling good.
Exactly.
How are you?
I'm feeling good, enjoying the weather. Been doing a little bit of sunbathing in between my work today, so
it looks like it. Honestly, we look like twins.
Oh, I know. I was going to say, bit more hair though. That's the only thing, Chris.
Yeah, and about 15 years difference as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So glad to have you on again, buddy. And yeah, we're going to get at these fights. Glenn the Sledge Williams is my other guest. Glenn, what's going on, buddy? You're starting to enjoy these shows, Glenn, you?
Yeah, mate. I'm looking forward to them. So to be fair, I've done nothing today apart from an interview with the fighter's profile. But yeah, this has been my productivity of the day.
So are you working at the moment, Glenn, or you furloughed, you stuck in the house? What's going on with you?
No, mate. I'm working. At the moment, we are working from home. So we're an emergency breakdown service. So anything goes wrong in the work, I could have a phone call now to go in and do stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, we just what we do now, instead of going to a department and work and waiting for breakdown, I could have a phone call and I'll go straight to the job now, get it done, and then come home. So rather than be stuck in work with people I don't need to be stuck with.
No, fair play, buddy, fair play. So we'll get into these fights then. UFC Fight Night went down last night. To be honest, I can't remember the last time we've had a fight card in midweek. So it was a bit of a strange one. Some good fights, I would say, some underrated fights perhaps. But we'll get into the main event, which was held between Anthony Smith and Glover Teixeira, two veterans in the sport now at this point, and two guys who had a lot to prove. Obviously, we saw Anthony Smith start off very fast, have a good first couple of rounds, but unfortunately for him, Teixeira kept coming on strong, landing some solid punches and got a finish in the last round. Chris, I want to come to you first on this, buddy. A big fight for Teixeira, a big win. What did you think of the fight there?
I thought it's probably the second best fight on the card in terms of entertainment. It certainly needed to be after the co-main event, which was a little bit dull, which we'll talk about later. But no, as you said, Anthony Smith came out really fast. He looked really good in the first couple of rounds. His striking, as always, was just on point. And Teixeira looked like he's in trouble. He managed to blow up Teixeira's left eye, and it looked like it was going to close at one point. But Teixeira was calm, collected, and I suppose age and experience probably helped him there. You know, he's got 9 years on Smith. And I was wondering whether the low blow affected Smith as well. He did take a good few minutes to recover, but you don't normally see him gas like that. And he did struggle. He really struggled from the third round, and Teixeira just took over and he just put an absolute beat down on him. But Anthony Smith's called Lionheart for a reason, and to be honest, I thought the ref probably could have jumped in a little bit sooner. He was just taking an absolute beating for probably the last 7-8 minutes of the fight. But yeah, hell of a performance by Teixeira. Don't really know what it does for him. Smith was 4, Teixeira was 6 in the rankings. So those two are both sitting just outside the top tier. I can't really see Teixeira making a title run, even though he's won 4 in the bounce now. But yeah, good fight. It was a good headline fight as well, I thought. Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed the fight, I gotta be honest. And I kind of agree with you, Chris, what you said. I thought the ref could have jumped in there at the end. It was very one-sided. I couldn't see Lionheart making a comeback at one point. Obviously, the kind of the main takeaway from the evening in terms of the publicity of it was about Anthony Smith's teeth. There was one kind of weird moment in the fight where Teixeira's on his back and he kind of gets a tough while he's fighting the rear naked choke, hands his teeth to the ref and carries on fighting. It's another one of the things why we absolutely love fighting, and it's brutal, but it's a great sport. So yeah, there we've got the picture of it there. Anthony Smith handing his teeth to the ref while he's getting choked out. But he actually handed it and managed to fight out of that choke. So, we got to give fair play to him. And yeah, like you said, Lionheart for a reason. Glenn, what I want to ask you, buddy, you've been in there, you've been in some tough fights. You've been on the losing end of some tough fights as well. Do you think it was the case where either the ref or the corner should have stepped in for Anthony Smith in this fight?
So I'm going to cast back. I remember Joanna got smashed up and her face was swollen up a few months back.
Mm-hmm.
I had a chat on social media with a few of my friends, right, and they are boxers, and they were saying, "Oh, the corner should have thrown a towel in." Now I'm led to believe the corner can throw the towel in then, but they can stop it going out to the next round. I'm pretty sure that's right, but I might be wrong. If I am right, and I think they shouldn't have let him go out. What's happened, you know? Can you see me, guys?
Yeah, you can see it.
My screen's gone off. I can only see myself now.
Oh yeah, same.
That's it. It's okay because you're the headline act now.
Yeah. Anyway, so I would have thought that this corner wouldn't let him go for the fifth round because he was clearly you could hear him telling, "My teeth are falling out." You can hear he's not going to give up because of who he is, and I don't think he was in the fight from perhaps the third round anyway. Even though he does the best comes out to him anyway in round 4 and 5. I think in the championship round. So I think he had been done by then. But yeah, his corner should have saved his fight up there and pulled him out a bit sooner. The ref stepping in, as long as he's defending himself and fighting, I think the ref is going to do his job. But I'd like to look for the corner then. I think there's got the corner swap.
Yeah, Chris, do you agree with that? Do you think it was a case where, you know, it's nothing to do with the ref really? It was the corner's place to stop that fight?
I think definitely in the first instance it should have been the corner. I think you can throw a towel in MMA, but you know, regardless, that as Glenn said, from the third round, I think it was the third, he took that uppercut and it just completely rocked him. It looked like it shattered something, and from that point onwards, he was just essentially in just self-defense mode. There wasn't any fight that he was giving back. Okay, he was step forward and just try and fling out any.
Oh, I think we've lost Chris for a second there. Chris, you with us?
So, yeah, I am. But I had a call from my sister who's just completely considerate, not realising that I'm doing a podcast. So,
there we go. These things happen, buddy. These things happen.
But yeah, the corner should have stepped in. His heart did prevent Herzog from probably being able to jump in. Herzog probably would have taken a fair amount of stick before jumping in. It's just a shame though, really, because there was no benefit to him staying in that fight. We were just watching him take an absolute beatdown.
Yeah, it is tough to see because, like you say, in one hand you see fighters like Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje saying on Saturday they don't ever want to be stopped, and we can all appreciate that as fans. But at the same time, the last thing we want to see is someone get hurt and damage themselves in the future. Because, like we all said, I think Anthony Smith, he was done really from the third round on, and there was no way it was going to be his night. So I would like to have seen it stop, but you know, there we are. It carried on. He got to the fifth round. He took a little bit of a beating, obviously losing his teeth. And yeah, what I want to ask you boys now, and I'll start with you, Chris. What is next for both of these guys now? You got Teixeira, I think, on a 3-fight win streak.
4 now.
4 now, is it? Yeah. Well, even better. He's getting on a bit for fighting now. But I mean, where do you see him going?
Still 2 years younger than me, mate. He's the proverbial gatekeeper now, isn't he? You need these guys in the UFC, and we were talking about this last episode. You need those people who can test the next level, who are coming up. If you want to get into the upper echelons, you've got to get through one of these guys. And Teixeira does kind of fit that mold. He gets paid an okay amount for what he does. You know, it's certainly more than he'd be getting elsewhere, I'm guessing, at this age without any type of other experience behind him. But he's never going to push on to that next level. He's never going to be one of the top guys in the division anymore. He's had that ship sailed for him. So who next? I don't know. I've not even got a name not even got a name in mind. But whoever the next up and comer is, chuck him in with Glover Teixeira and see how they get on, because he's a well-rounded
sink or swim
yeah.
getting him with Glover at the moment, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Glenn, what do you think about Anthony Lionheart Smith? Any sort of matchups you think he might be looking for next? Not
off the top of my head with him. I mean, I think he's probably going to want to regroup for a bit and see where he is after that, because that's going to take a lot out of him. Although I would have given him the first 2 rounds. Second was very close, but I would have given it to him. But then he lost the next 2 with 10-8 comfortably. But I think, who would I give Anthony Smith? I don't really know, to be honest with you. He's already beaten Aris Gustafsson, who was think is retired now anyway, but that would have been, I say, a good fight. It's just he's another one of the ones that's just out the top 5, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I don't know. But there's talk though of there's a talk of Gravia fighting Dominic Reyes for number 1 contender spot rather than giving Dominic the rematch straight away. I think Dominic wipes the floor with it myself, but there's talk of that. I've seen Dana White's Instagram today. He's talking about
that. It kind of justify it, wouldn't it?
It would justify it, but I think, all right, we know how ruthless the UFC is, but I think Dominic Reyes deserves his rematch straight away, in my opinion. But we know ruthless they are. They don't care who deserves what. But
yeah, it's a strange division, that light heavyweight at the moment, I think. So I don't know. We've got Peter Knox commenting John Jones to heavyweight next. To be honest, I do see that happening now more than ever, because I think he's wiped the division multiple times. I think the next move for John Jones is heavyweight, and then that kind of opens up the light heavyweight division a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, boys? Glenn, what do you think about John Jones going up to heavyweight and that opening up the division, really?
Oh, I've seen that, right? But John Jones, in my opinion, if John Jones fights DC at heavyweight, I think John Jones loses at heavyweight. I think he is the GOAT to light heavyweight. I mean, OSP, who was the co-main, he weighed in at 240, right? But I thought he would have danced around Ben, but he didn't. He just ran away from him and he was pressed. I think John Jones could be under danger of doing the same thing against a genuine heavyweight. Just being pushed against the cage and, I don't know, just being bored to death, really. Because that's where it was, the co-main, in my opinion. So there
are some big boys up in that weight division, and obviously that brings us nicely on to the co-main event, which was, as you said, Ovin St. Preux, a former light heavyweight contender, going up against Big Ben Rothwell, a stalwart in the heavyweight division, really, with the UFC. I didn't actually mind the fight that much. I know a lot of people thought it was boring, but I don't know. I found it interesting to see OSP going up and seeing. He did look like a heavyweight, I thought, but the size of Rothwell is just, it's one of those things. I mean, Chris, I'll come to you first. What was your take on the matchup, the co-main event of the evening?
Well, as Glenn said, OSP weighed in about 240. Big Ben weighed in at the limit of 265, so he actually cut to come down to that. OSP weighed in at his walk-around weight. Probably, a little bit extra. Probably ate a little bit extra, knowing that he had that weight available for him. So he looked heavy. He's quite a cumbersome fighter anyway, even at 205. But he looked really, really cumbersome at 265. Now, going back to what we were saying about John Jones, it's a huge weight division from 205 all the way up to 265. That's a hell of a weight differential. Now, Jones, even if he comes in at 230, which is probably about his walking weight, if he comes up against somebody who is a natural big heavyweight, best skill in the world, you take a shot off of them, you're going to go to sleep. But
you say that, Chris, but OSP had a few off Ben Rothwell last night, and he did take him pretty well, realistically. I know he didn't win the fight, but
when he wasn't running, it was just the most boring fight that I've seen in such a long time. OSP, he takes a shot and then he runs. Not even steps back to reset. He actually runs away to reset. And Ben Rothwell's Ben Rothwell. He'll literally lumber up to you until you're within range, and then he'll let go. I saw nothing in that fight that made me want to see either of those fighters fight again. If I'm brutally honest.
Fair enough.
It bored the living daylights out of me, especially after watching some of the entertainment earlier on in the evening. And then obviously followed by the main event, which, as painful as it was to watch, was an entertaining matchup against two highly skilled guys. OSP should never have fought at heavyweight, and Big Ben Rothwell I don't see as a main card fighter anymore.
So, for people who didn't watch this fight or didn't even watch the card, the co-main event was Ben Rothwell and Ovin St. Preux. He went to a split decision between... It was a split decision, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Split decision with, obviously, Big Ben Rothwell taking the win there. Glenn, what did you see in this matchup, buddy? What did you think of Ben's win?
But to be honest, right, we're talking about the big slugs from heavyweight. Don't think for a second that OSP inspiring heavyweights in training. He's going to be able to take them. But what I think the difference is when you've got somebody laying on you against the cage, somebody laying on you trying to get up on the floor, somebody just sapping our energy, and you've got to go the full fight. It's in the later rounds that all our energy, if you're pushing a bigger guy off of you with all our extra weight, that's when it's going to sell. That's when he's going to blow through his ass. He might be brilliant in training, dancing around him and moving, looking good, taking the punches. That's all well and good. When you got somebody that heavy, laying on you against the cage, you would try and use all your strength to push him off and move away. And he's doing it again and doing it again. Them later rounds are going to take energy out of you. And that's what I think happened last night, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, with moving up weight classes, I think it's always a strange thing. You never know how the skill and speed and strength is going to translate. I mean, for me, like I said, I do think John Jones has got the frame to do it. I know he's skinny, but he's tall. I could see him bulking up a little bit, and I could personally see him doing well in that weight division. And it is. I mean, are you telling me you wouldn't want to see a super fight John Jones and Stipe?
Yeah, that I'd love to see. And don't get me wrong, John Jones's IQ is. He's not going to be put against the cage and get a life sapped out of him. If somebody like Ben is walking towards him like he was walking towards OSP last night, John Jones is going to change his levels and put him on his ass. Why OSP didn't last night, I do not know. Because I was screaming out to me, just walking him down flat-footed, just trying to press him against the cage. Instead of running away, put him on his ass, put him on his back and see what he's like getting upset, get energy out of him. It's all well and good trying to dance around him and tire him out, but it's going to be more tired in him trying to get up off the floor. I'm not sure what OSP's wrestling is like, but surely he can put somebody like Ben on the floor when he walk in towards him like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, OSP has got some wrestling credentials. I'm sure he's got good submissions as well. So, like you said,
he's got 4 out of the 6 Ron Flu chokes in UFC history he's had.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess maybe we'll put that one in the books and hope for both better fights from both of them next time. But I want to try and read some questions, guys. We have a couple of questions coming in. First one is from Peter Knox, and he's asking, Glenn, are you standing up? Your head's a little bit out the screen.
No,
you're sitting down, yeah?
Yep.
There you go, Peter Knox. I'm going to confirm.
Is that better, Peter?
He is sitting down. So well done there, Glenn.
I've actually brought my setup to my boy's Xbox room or in my front room just to make it a bit better for him. We've
got Richard Williams asking, who do you boys think would win a boxing fight between Wilder and Ngannou? Interesting match. I think Wilder just on boxing experience, but at the same time, I mean, Francis Ngannou, he hits so hard, doesn't he? You never know, but I think you'd have to go with a boxer in a boxing match, Chris, wouldn't you?
But neither of them could fight in a back foot. That's what I guess.
Well, 90 out of 100 times, I would say Wilder, because exactly like you said, he's the boxer, he's the natural boxer, and Ngannou's just throws, as they say, those big old bungalows. He's not really got the movement that a boxer would have. I think that he'd just get pieced apart, unfortunately, quite quickly. And Wilder's not even that skillful.
As long as Wilder doesn't wear that suit again, mess his legs up.
It is heavy. It is really heavy, It's like maybe like carrying a 5 or 6-year-old on your back, and that makes a big difference.
Exactly. Glenn, would you be interested in seeing that fight in a boxing match?
Neither of them could fight in a back foot, so they both walk forward. And have any of us ever seen Ngannou's chin tested?
I think he's got a good chin. He got clipped on Saturday, didn't he?
Well, Ngannou did.
Yeah, he just walked through it.
When a guy was running backwards, just feeling for his life, you can't count that. Can't constantly stick him on him. I wouldn't say that was his chin tested. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, have a look at it again, Glenn. I reckon he had a good little clip there. But like you said,
when I finish beer, I'll put it straight on the screen there and have a look. But I think he was going backwards. He just tried walking through him.
Yeah, I can't think, has he ever really been clocked? Has he ever really took an hard shot? He's never been wobbled, definitely, I'm sure. So I don't know.
That's a good one to look for.
Would I pay for it?
Would I pay for it? No.
No, would you illegally stream it, Glenn?
I wouldn't get up like last night for last night's card. That's for sure.
There we go. So we've got the next fight on the card then, which was now this
we've
fight.
got another question here, Lewis.
But overall, what would you rate the card out of 10? Katie Hunter. So, Glenn, I'll come to you first out of 10.
I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say a 6. If last Saturday's was a 9, last night was a 6.
Yeah, fair, Chris.
Absolutely agree with that. 6, and that's thanks to the fact that Michael Johnson is super entertaining. Ricky Simone and Ray Borger got in a hell of a fight, and Anthony Smith lost his teeth.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm just going to agree. 6 seems like a good number for this card, Katie. So we're going across the board. 6s there. If we had a little sign to hold it up, would be good. But maybe we'll get them. Maybe we'll get them for the next one, guys. Some numbers, and we'll hold them up for the rating of the fight. But yeah, so next fight on the card then. Now this actually was the fight I was most looking forward to. I don't know why, but it was Alexander the Great Hernandez against Drew Dober. Obviously Dober getting the round 2 KO, a lovely finish. Glenn, I'll come to you first. What was your thoughts on this matchup? But it was quite a good fight.
It was good. I enjoyed it, but I didn't really know who Drew Dober was, I'll be honest, right? Until I seen his way in, and he had that bit of arrogance and cockiness about him. So I looked into him, and I really enjoyed that fight. It was good. I just had to check on my phone, but which round it was until you said. But yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. And again, I think he's had performance of the night as well, I believe. But yeah, I enjoyed that fight. That was good.
And Alexander Hernandez, he's a good fighter, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I thought the two of them was quite evenly matched. For me, the difference was just the little bit of power that Dober was landing with. I don't know what you took on that, Chris. Do you think that was maybe the defining factor in that fight?
Well, Dober had fought at welterweight beforehand, so coming down to lightweight, he was noticeably bigger in size. He's thicker. You look at his legs; they were huge in comparison to Hernandez's, and I think Hernandez did struggle with the power. DC said in commentary the one frustration that he had was that Dober wasn't really is chasing Hernandez with his hands rather than chasing him with his feet. Hernandez kept circling left, and at no point did Dober think that it'd be a good idea just to throw that front kick and just catch him as he was coming. So he did spend a lot of time chasing Hernandez down. But when they did engage, it was good. You know, they're technically very strong. It was exciting to watch. But yeah, it was fun. It wasn't my favourite fight in the card, but it was an entertaining fight, certainly.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions coming in. What was your fight of the night? So, boys, what was your fight of the night in this one? I'll come to you first, Chris.
Borg versus Simone. I love that fight.
Glenn?
Mine too. I really enjoyed that fight. It was good. Let's get this for Borg in the end, mate, because Borg did lose, didn't he? Lost his
Yeah. I
really enjoyed that fight. It's because he looked smaller. He looked a lot smaller than that. Back to what we was talking about. We're listening to the commentators. Did you see that's Simone? DC, sorry. He said he was big. He looked at him and gave it all up. I'm looking going, right, surely something got to be done about that now, because he paused to the commentator. But yeah, he looked a lot bigger, but listening to Borg's punches, when he was in the pocket, then 3 or 4 sharp he was hitting him, mind. And, you know, and just sounding that, I thought, I know it's unprofessional. The sound that I thought might have swayed the judges a bit to give it to him for the more effective striking. But I think it was the takedown. So Simone had done it in the end. Yeah. But I really enjoyed that.
I gotta say, right, I at first when I heard that they was gonna be fighting with no crowds, I was like, oh, it's a fan sport. But watching it on TV now and hearing like this new kind of a whole new soundtrack, you hear the shots a lot clearer, you hear the corner, you hear it's so much clearer. And sometimes, like in that fight as well, you hear Ray Borg speaking a little bit to Simon.
They were chatting away to each other.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that kind of audio that you get of the fights now. It is obviously different without the crowd there, but I do actually enjoy this element now where you hear everything a lot more clear. There's something about it that I do enjoy. And like you said, that fight was great. We'll come on to this one now. This was third or fourth card. Fourth fight down the card. Ricky Simon versus Ray Borger. A great fight, as you said. Glenn touched on it there. Some great combinations from Ray Borger. a split decision loss for him nonetheless. Chris, what did you make of this fight? It was your fight of the night. What did you think of it?
What frustrates me about Ray Borger is he's 5'4", and if he could control his weight, he would be a naturally. Because he fought he fought Demetrius Johnson 3-4 years ago for the flyweight title, and okay, he lost them, but he's still young. He's still only 26 years old. So surely it just needs a good nutritionist to actually control his calorie intake and bring that weight down, because he's so small. And there was still there's certainly still some weight left on him that could have come off to bring him down to that weight. But he kept missing and missing and missing, so he's had to push up to 135. And as skillful as he is, he's up against these huge guys. And Ricky Simone is 5'8". Always had a clear advantage in terms of size, had a clear advantage in terms of strength as well, because Ray Borg's no slouch when it comes to wrestling, but Simone was just, once he got his hands on him, he did toss him around. Okay, ball bounced back up again, but in terms of being able to control the takedown, he had absolutely no control whatsoever with it.
Do you agree with the decision, Chris? It was a split decision. Do you think it was Simone's fight?
Yeah, I thought Simone won it. I wanted Borg to win it, but I thought Simone won it. And yeah, the trade, when they're standing there and they're trading, it was just beautiful. Ray he's popping out 4, maybe 5-shot combinations, and they were crisp, sharp, clean. And as Glenn said, they were just landing so flush, and you could hear them. Some of it, he landed a couple of liver shots on Simone, which at 125 surely would have just dropped his opponent.
Yeah.
But Simone actually took them, and it didn't even flinch, which was crazy. But no, it was just fun to watch, and it's a shame that fight wasn't on the card on Saturday, because that would have just tipped the edge, I think.
Oh, I think right. If you scored it as 3 rounds, I think Simone won 2-1. But I think if you look at it as an overall, who won the striking? Borg.
Yep.
Who won the wrestling? Simone. And who won the grappling? I think Borg. Because every time he went to grappling, he was getting a sweep. He was making space to get back up. So I think if you look at it that way, all right, you're supposed to do that per round. But as an overall, I think if it had gone either way, it wouldn't have been an argument. But watching the exchanges was a lot better and a lot sharper than all the rest of the card by a country mile, I think. Each exchange was exciting.
What's next for Ray Borg now then, Glenn, after this loss?
I really don't know, mate. If I'd put, I wouldn't like to say it could be anything. What are they, bantamweights, isn't it? So I feel if you try and let's match him up with all bantamweights. Imagine, I would like sort of Jack Shaw and Brett do against them. Let's be honest. I think they would have struggled with his striking than he was last night. But his wrestling, I think that both our boys would have wrestled him. And perhaps kept him on the floor, kept him on his back. So is he outside the top 10? Yeah, I think so. Will he be able to climb? I don't really know. But yeah, as much enjoyable as the fight was, I just don't know where he goes now.
Do you see him being able to drop that down again, though, Chris? Like you said, he has got the weight there to lose, but or is it just too far gone for him now? Because like you said, for him, I think his title aspirations would be at the weight class below, wouldn't they? Realistically, looking at the size of him, but
he's never going to hit the upper echelons of 135. I think Shaw beats him now. I think Johns probably does as well. As much as he's great to watch and technically brilliant, that those guys, they're big boys as well as being very, very good.
Nathaniel Wood.
I think Wood. It'd be great to watch, though, wouldn't it? You imagine the technical striking on that.
Yeah.
But you imagine Jack Shaw getting hold of it. Because look at what Jack Shaw did. We're talking different leagues here, but look at what Jack Shaw did to Mike Ekundeu. He got hold of him and he absolutely brutalised him. Now this guy, he made his entire name from picking people up, carrying them across the cage, dumping them on their head, and then beating them up in front of their corner. He barely got a touch in on Jack. Now Jack picking up little Ray Borg, he'd literally be flipping him with one hand. It wouldn't even be a contest. So Borg has to do something for the sake of his career, because he's only got at those lighter weights you've got less time than the bigger guys. So
yeah, definitely.
At 26 years old, he really needs to sort that side out and prove to the UFC he actually can make 125, even if he takes a catch at 130 and weighs in at 128, just to prove that he can actually do it. That's got to be his ultimate aim, because if he sits at 135, he'll end up getting cut.
You know what? The more I think about it, I think Jack Shaw should fight him. I think it'd be a good name for Jack Shaw quite early. It'd be a good stepping stone, because let's be honest, Jack is really young. He's new in the UFC. He's got a few, let's say, fights to blossom, and I think that'd be a good stepping stone to put him into the top 10 within the next few years.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I'd be
or someone like Barrow, or someone like see Jack fight.
What do you say?
Someone like Barrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what it is.
And Barrow, former champion.
No, unless I see the name on paper.
It's the guy who TJ Dillashaw beat to take the belt.
Oh yeah, no.
Brazilian guy.
Right, I've got a comment coming in. Peter Knox is asking me, when was the last time I got my eyes tested and read out all the questions. Peter, calm down. We're getting to the questions, Peter. We're going through the card first. So, Peter's asking, Justin versus Khabib is on in September now. Who should Conor fight next? Chris, you first, buddy.
I'd love to see Conor versus Tony Ferguson. Won't happen, because Conor's talking about the fact that he's going to be fighting in July. He's setting his stall out, and he'll never take that fight because it's way too dangerous. He'll probably end up fighting Anthony Pettis or something.
Glenn, who's next for McGregor?
Nate Diaz 3.
Oh, it's not a bad shout.
I love the second fight. I watched it again yesterday. Definitely. I think it's got to be done. He needs a stepping stone in between. All right, Nate Diaz coming off a loss, but we know how good Nate Diaz is, no matter what head these are. It'll be a payday for him as well. I think that's got to happen in no time like the present. Put him on the same card as well. Put him in September.
Yeah, and then winner face winner, I would say.
Yeah, and then put them in the same press conference together. You'll be able to make money that way, sell all that. Go for it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad, would it? That's not a bad shout there, Glenn, actually. So, hope that answers your question satisfactorily. Peter Knox? See if we got any other ones on your
Every time a question comes up of Peter Knox, I'm dying to that for his profile photo back to him. It feels like it's doing it. Yeah. You want to get to him, you want to go on Pete fight?
Katie Hunter is asking another one. She's saying, what do you think of the corner of Anthony Smith saying they thought it was his veneers that had popped out, the same as that happens in training?
Yeah, if it popped out in training, why he's got him in a fight?
Well, it wasn't his veneers. It was a full-on tooth he handed to the ref, wasn't it? So, I mean, you'd think they'd see when he had a mouth full of missing teeth, they'd realize he was a veneers. So I don't know. Not too sure on that one, Katie. I think that's a bit of an excuse, to be honest, after the fact.
I'm waiting for someone to write down about my teeth, because I got false teeth as well from fighting. We keep that a secret, though, right?
Glenn, have you ever handed them to the ref?
No, but David Ford and Kev used to have to take him to the cage for me to put him back in when you interviewed me in Port Talbot. Bring him in and give him pass something. So,
yeah. Yeah, no, I actually remember that fight really well. It was a good fight. You fought Big Jamie McDonald down there, didn't you?
Yeah. Me and Jamie become very good friends now. Yeah, he's a good guy, Jamie is.
Yeah, good fight. That was good night as well. So be happy to see Strike and Submit back. Any sort of thoughts on that after this is over, Glenn? Strike and Submit too?
I think they're going to stick to the in-house no headshots just to feed it. I'm unsure. I'd love to see number 2, but Glenn versus Jamie Pipe Challenge. If he's watching, he's to be honest, we tag each other in a Pipe Challenge on Instagram now and again, and we're both pretty quick as well. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah, fair play, boys. Fair play.
Yeah, so, answer your question, Lou, I'm not sure. I'd love to see it back again, but I'd love to finish my career up with Talbot and just say goodbye and everything. But I'm not sure if it's going to happen again. But who knows?
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes out for that one then, Glenn. Because I think it was a good night, and it's definitely something that we can look forward to. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. Next fight on the card, there we've got. We got Steve Brigg leaving a question, so we'll answer Steve's question first. Steve Brigg is saying, who is the GOAT? And he's left a nice picture of a GOAT as well. Chris, who is the GOAT, buddy? Come on.
GSP.
GSP? Not John Jones?
GSP. Because he did it without pictograms.
Fair play. I love GSP, and in some ways, I do think he is the GOAT, but also I just think John Jones is like the most talented guy that's ever been in the sport. When you look at the way he's fought everybody and the way he's won, for me, he's the best guy that's ever been in the UFC's octagon. So
yeah, but GSP also cleared out his entire division as well. When he lost to Matt Hughes in their first fight, he came back, and in their second fight, he beat him. Then the third one, he went and beat him in the way that Hughes had beaten him. He literally ran through it. The only time that he became more hesitant and more of an athlete than a fighter was after that loss to Serra, because I think it shook him, the fact that he at that point he thought he was invincible, and to be caught in the way that he got caught, it kind of changed his game plan. So he decided to actually just win individual rounds and just break people down and make sure he won every single fight rather than running through people. But I think he had the ability to run through absolutely everyone, and that was a hell of a division back then as well.
Yeah, it's a close call for me. It's between those two. But Glenn, what's your take? Who is the greatest of all time?
No, I love GSP, right? Especially because he learned a lot while he was fighting. He learned his wrestling, improved so much. But okay, he could come back now and challenge the best, right? But the way John Jones fights and he adjusts his style while fighting, look at him with Gustafsson. When he fought Gustafsson the first time, he shocked. He learned his game plan and demolished him the second time. As much as I think Dominic Reyes was brilliant when he fought him first, I think he smashed him the second time. But I'm going to throw somebody else out there, and it's not Henry Cejudo. I'm going to go Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, I think that's
Amanda Nunes.
But yeah.
She's a beast, son. She smoked Cyborg, and I love Cyborg. She's a beast.
And you obviously got Mighty Mouse Johnson as well as up there with a shout, I would say.
Yeah, he's up there. So I mean, Henry Cejudo, you can't know for what he's done. Cannot put him in the top 5 either, can you?
It's tough. There's a lot of good ones.
For me, though, as well.
Yeah, for me, there's a lot of good ones, but for me, GSP and John Jones are the two that stand out the most. So I mean, so far it's always changing, isn't it? So I don't know, but yeah, Stipe for heavyweights definitely. DC got to be in there with a shout.
I'm Big Spoon Pete.
So let me read that. Let me read this one out for people watching. If you three were sleeping together, which ones will be given and which ones will be taken? Peter, they said in the late show, Peter, we can't answer these questions, but it's not past the watershed yet. You got to keep these ones for the late show, Peter. Sorry.
Pete, our boss won't be happy, tell him.
There you go, Chris Garden. The answer is Artem. Of course he is. Of course he is. Great answer there, Chris. Guys, Andrei Arlovski versus Felipe Lins. What was your thoughts on this one? Arlovski, another guy who's been on the UFC circuit for absolutely years. I think 20 years at this point. He doesn't seem to age. He just keeps fighting. I mean, he got his win last night. Glenn, I'll come to you first. What did you think on the Arlovski fight?
I enjoyed that to an extent, but I think the one before that was a Johnson fight, wasn't it? Going from our speed and power to them, then it was a bit not knocking heavyweights, but it just lacked that zip. It was good, when he did enough, you could see his experience. The way the commentators were talking though about that limbs, I thought that limbs was only like a 6 or 7 fight beginner, unbeaten beginner. But when I looked at his record, it's his first fight in the UFC, but he's had about 16 or 18 fights. But it was good and I enjoyed it. But as far as that just that zip wasn't there for me.
Yeah. Chris, I want to change the topic slightly then, because I know you do a little bit of behind the scenes with MMA. Why do the UFC pick the order of that fight and pick 2 smaller guys zipping about the place, and then follow that up with 2 heavyweights? What would be the reason behind that? Well, surely you would think they would put this kind of the slower fights first and then build it up. Perhaps I don't know.
No, because if you start off with the slower fights first, then the any casual views that you got in, they're going to switch off. If you imagine if OSP versus Big Ben Rothwell was the opening part of that card, they'd have lost 40% of their viewers immediately.
Right,
It was a decent fight, heavyweights, decent fight, co-main event, main event. So it maintained the interest and maintained the viewing figures throughout.
So you want to get your opening of your card, then you want to get an absolute smasher, really.
Yeah, you want to keep people who have tuned into it entertained and keep them on, because that wasn't a pay-per-view card either. So they would have been rated on their viewing figures from their broadcast partner. So if anyone's just flicking through the channels, if they saw Michael Johnson at the very start, then if they've got any type of interest in any type of combat sport, it's likely they'd have stayed and carried on watching to see if there's another fight that's just entertaining.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I appreciate the knowledge you've dropped on us there, Chris. I think that was one that I always think that when I got onto the Cage Warriors cards, and I think, you know, they've got Ian Dean, one of the best matchmakers in the business down there. But how do they pick kind of the running order? But I guess, like you said,
I would love to take credit for it, but I can't. It's from talking. When you go to fight shows, sometimes you get the opportunity to sit behind the scenes and grab 5 minutes with someone. And I remember the first major fight show I went to was a BAMMA show when it's 3 years ago this week, actually. David Cowser went and beat Kean Cowley. He was 10-1 on favourite against Dave Cowser, and Dave choked him out, rear naked choke in 2.5 minutes of the first round, barely took a shot. But I managed to get 5 minutes with Drew Samuel, who was the matchmaker then, who's now matchmaker for Bellator Europe, who works in the main matchmaking team. And the amount of knowledge that Drew dropped on me in those 5 minutes is probably more than I learned in the next 2 years of being involved in MMA. That guy is just an absolute fountain of knowledge.
Oh, brilliant. And Chris, with regards to the fight, what did you think of the Arlovski win? Nice to see Arlovski getting a win. He's one of these guys. He's, like you said, he's been there forever. He's beaten them, lost them.
Can you stop banging on about age? Because Arlovski, again, is 2 years younger than me.
Chris,
mate,
which is
he's 40. So
is he younger than you, Chris?
Yeah, he's younger than me. I'm 42.
Oh, my God.
So Andrei Arlovski in 2005 won the interim heavyweight title against Tim Sylvia, and that's the first time I saw him fight. And he was sharp. He was ridiculously quick for 205er. He's really slowed down with age, unfortunately. And I think it was probably 10 years ago he became really chinny, and people were saying that that's the end of him. But fortunately, he's managed to adjust his style again. He seems to be a smart enough guy to adjust his style to be able to have that longevity. But I like Linz. In the first round, Linz came out and he was sharp. You know, his counter striking was beautiful. He kept catching Arlovski. Because Arlovski kept trying to fight southpaw, which just clearly wasn't natural for him. And every time he stepped in to engage, Linz was finishing off with this really nice sharp left hook, which Arlovski he had to deal with really. He had to really change his game plan up for the second round onwards, and it was the right decision. Rounds 2 and 3 definitely went to Arlovski, but I thought Linz showed enough about him at the start of the fight to actually make him an entertaining person to watch again. Yeah,
definitely agree with that, Glenn.
Yeah, but don't forget, Glover Teixeira is 40 as well. So when he was running things in the main event, and he's 40. I'm not sure how many.
The question I want to know now, after this discussion, is there anyone currently competing in the UFC that's older than Chris Emmanuel? That's what I want to know.
There were two 42-year-olds.
Romero.
Romero's the same age as me. There were two 42-year-old heavyweights, I think, on Saturday's card on the prelims. I can't remember. It was the Russian guy who won, Olenek maybe, and who was it he beat? But anyway, they're both old bastards like me.
So is there anyone older though? Is there anyone older, Chris?
Something's in my head. I read something of somebody who's 44 and positive. Is he 44? Somebody's 44.
William's 42 as well.
How old is Mark Hunt? I know he's just finished, but how old is Mark Hunt?
Oh, he's 4 years older than me. So yeah, he was 46 when he finished.
He would be 44 as well.
46 now. Yeah.
Chris, I take back everything I said then, buddy. I take back what I said.
Look at Randy Couture. How old was Randy Couture when he won the title?
Yeah, no, fair play. Point taken. So, guys, actually, there's a couple of good questions coming in. Another boxing one. Mike Tyson has announced he's want to come back and fight. Chris, first of all, I'll come to you, buddy. Do you want to see this? And if he does come back, who should he be facing?
Oh, it's just freak show entertainment, isn't it? Everyone watched, was it Dada 4000 or whatever his name was versus Kimbo Slice. So the morals and sensible side of me says, no, there's absolutely no way he should be fighting at 53. But the rest of me saying, "Oh hell yeah, I want to see Mike Tyson come back.
Take my money."
I want to see him fight John Fury, because John Fury's now called him out, and I would love to see the Gypsy King's dad, the guy who taught him how to be a double hard bastard, going against Mike Tyson, who's got the hardest punch in the history of whatever.
So I think Tyson just hurts him more.
No, I think it's going to be like Snatch Mate. I think John Fury's going to slip it and he's just going to drop him.
I don't know. Glenn, what's your take on this, buddy? Because for me, I'll put myself out there. I will watch it because it's Mike Tyson, but at this point, I kind of don't want to see him come back and tarnish his legacy. Really, I don't want to see him get sparked out by some young guy. Or
Exactly
I don't know. What's your thought, Glenn?
He's retired, stay retired. He's retired a legend, stay a legend. Don't come back now just for sake of money or just for sake of what if. Everyone wants to relive a childhood and watch Tyson again on TV. We all do, but no, let's just keep our memories, remember him for what he was. Not.
I heard Shannon Briggs wanted to fight him in a bare knuckle match as well. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but is it?
Yeah.
Interest?
Sonny Bill Williams offered him a contract. I mean, they all have, and everyone wants a bit of him for his name now. Don't, man. I hope there's no one in his ear tell him that he can still do it. I hope they're all saying, look, buddy, stay retired now. Even though he's looking sharp on the pads, but come on, just stay retired, mate.
How old was George Foreman when he won a heavyweight title? I think he was 50, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Tyson's only 3 years older. I don't want Tyson to come back against anyone younger because he'll get absolutely murdered. We don't want to see murder in the cage. But a fun fight against someone his own age should be hilarious.
What about Shannon Briggs, Chris?
What's the point? It's got to be It's got to be a little bit of oomph, a little bit of spark. I don't really see any spark in that fight.
No, Shannon's a big name, though. Let's go, champ.
Yeah, but I want to see. I want it to be more of an entertainment bout rather than rather than old names. So that's why I said, John Fury said it. Give it to John Fury. Let him make some money.
I think Tyson just destroys him and hurts him really bad. Like even at 50 odd, I think he beats him bad.
But I got a massive problem with the John Fury fight. John Fury moaned the other day about somebody calling him out saying, "Don't use my name to make yourself a name, pal. Don't put my name in your mouth."
I watched that.
Now he's doing the same thing with Mike Tyson. He's using Mike Tyson's name now. People in glass houses throwing you know what I'm trying to say, shouldn't throw stones. And it's exactly what he's doing now. He's mourning at somebody for doing it. Now he's doing exactly the same thing. Don't use Mike Tyson's name to get himself an hard man rep after him slagging somebody else off it.
There we are. You've been told, Mr. Fury.
Yeah.
Told by the sledge.
Let me tell him again, son. I'm not better, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Last fight then, boys. Michael Johnson versus Thiago Moises. Am I pronouncing that right, Chris?
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Tough one.
Do you know, I was gutted for Michael Johnson. I was absolutely gutted for him because I love him, man. The menace.
Menace, yeah.
Yeah, he just comes in and he just goes at it. He's one of those guys. He's a middle of the pack guy. And he works his ass off and he always puts on a good fight. He's a proper company guy, really entertaining to watch. He's got an aggressive style. Even though he's formerly a wrestler, he wants to keep it on his feet as well. And he's not like a Josh Koscheck who just likes throwing punches and because he likes the way that it looks when he's standing there. Johnson's actually got a really, really good striking style that's really attractive to watch. And he smoked Moises in the first round. It was a really, really, really good round for Johnson. Moises' corner, whatever they said to him, was perfect. 25 seconds. He came straight out, ducked under. It was a crazy low takedown. It's like an ankle pick, wasn't it? And he got hold of him, took him down, twisted him up. Keith Peterson was on the wrong side though. That was the problem. Keith Peterson, who got crap at the weekend, he should have been around the other side because Johnson tapped and then Peterson had to run around them to actually see it, and Johnson tapped again. So I hope there's no actual damage because Moises didn't let go, and that was a heel hook, wasn't it? It was in deep.
They've called it a heel hook, but it was a straight Achilles. There was no twist that knee. There was no twist that heel. His hand wasn't behind the heel. It was a straight Achilles. I've watched it twice. I've even put it on my Instagram. It's definitely a straight Achilles. I watched it back and back.
It would have either. It's going to bloody out, isn't it?
Yeah, call it what you want. It was a nasty submission, and like you said, with the refs, you want to see him on top of that, don't you?
I think Johnson tried it on though, because the initial tap, he barely touched his opponent. If he had let go, the ref hadn't seen it, he would have fought on. I bet you any money he would have.
No,
absolutely.
He would have fought on.
He would have.
Glenn, how dare you, buddy?
He would have, because as soon as he didn't, then he's like
right.
moaning and pouting. We just touched his leg, and because he didn't let go, he's whinging. if a ref, if he had let go, right, and the ref had carried on, he would have carried on and said he didn't tap. He only tapped once, and it was a tap.
Glenn Williams, how dare you, buddy?
You can see from Michael Johnson, he's 100% shit house type of guy. And that's why I love him.
But he was a sick entry mind. He was, you know, he knew he was getting lit up on his feet, and he knew he had to do something. So yeah, fair play to him for taking this opportunity.
Another one of these guys who adapted, Glenn. Another one of these guys, you know, took a bad loss first round, but you know, came out, tried something different, and got the job done. And
I'd like to watch it back and listen to what his coach is. Did his coach call that straight away, you know, in between the fights, or was it him? Or was it him off the cuff? That's what I'd like to watch back. I'll watch that back and have a listen.
Yeah. Chris, I got to read this out to you. Someone has said, going back to the Mike Tyson fight, someone said Chris Emmanuel will face him, and then someone's also said Chris could take anyone in a sumo match. Make from that what you will.
So JB Graham's my Muay Thai coach, and he thinks he's double hard. So you wait until he's also my daughter's Muay Thai coach as well. My daughter, she literally lights him up. She's 7, but she's the size of a 5-year-old. So as soon as we're back, and as soon as we're allowed to train again, I'm going to get her to drop you, John.
Here we go, JB. Watch out, buddy. And Peter's now asking Glenn, how quick could you make Lewis tap if you roll together? Glenn, I'll let you answer that one, buddy.
I don't know. Depends what day it is. If I've been out for a piss on a weekend, a pretty long time on a Monday. On a Friday, I'll be all right.
There we are. Good answer, buddy. Good answer. Yeah, boys, I think that's another one pretty much in the bag now. Another card. What are you making of these cards at the moment, Chris? Back to back within the week. Do you enjoy a midweek card?
Working full time. My job, I can work from home. It doesn't make any odds whether I'm at home or not. So I'm working full time. If anything, it's busier at the moment. So this was an absolute ball ache for me, this card. Yeah. I got up early to try and watch some of it, but then I've just been working all the way through the day, so I didn't get. I watched it this evening. It's, you know, obviously I love MMA, so the opportunity to actually watch some after a couple of months of not having any, and not just watch any, but we're getting, you know, the upper echelon of the sport. No matter what we, you know, complain about a card being a 6 out of 10, a 6 out of 10 UFC standard, that's still 10 out of 10, you know, in comparison to 95% of the rest of the market around the planet. Yeah, so yeah, if it means that I've got to either get up early in the morning or spend an evening watching it just to get that enjoyment in, great. And I love the fact they're rolling it three in a week, so it's before they're going to get the real blowback for any type of screw up because of the COVID-19 crisis. So get in, get out, and then get your money, and then see what the fallout is afterwards.
Yeah, Glenn, do you agree with that, or would you rather just stick to the weekends?
Oh, I'm going to be a bit of a cynical now. If I could change anything, I would have done it in reverse. Nobody's watched the fight for weeks. They would have paid the first pay-per-view. They would have paid to watch Ant's fight. So I would have liked Saturday's card last Saturday, then this week, and then the big one Saturday. So you're building up for that big card rather than the big cards first. Nobody could be asked for that card last night. Most people anyway. You know what I mean? If it was the other way around, they would have watched last night's card Saturday. They would have all paid for that, then paid for another one tonight, and then paid for another big, huge one Saturday. And I think it's a week off next week, isn't it?
Glenn, you know what? They need to get you a job in that UFC, but
Dana texts and asks me my thoughts. I told him to swivel. So unless you pay me, son, come back it up.
It's giving me one of your watches, Dana.
Yeah, but be honest. Anyone would have paid to watch any fight the first one back. It didn't have to be that big a card. They would have sold out anyway. So if they put a smaller card, put it in reverse and build this up to a bigger show after 3 in a row. Because, you know, 3 in a row, most of my friends don't even know there's a card Saturday. You know,
well, speaking of that, Glenn, I think we've actually got the fight list we can bring up now in a second, and we can go through this. And obviously, the third card coming on Saturday. So what have we got? Let's have a look. We've got Alistair Overeem v. Walt Harris in the main event. Claudia Gadelha versus Angela Hill, co-main. Great women's fight. Dan Ige versus Edson Barboza. Eric Anders versus Krzysztof Jotko. And Song Yadong versus Marlon Vera. That's a pretty solid card, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, the one that I'm least looking forward to is the main event. I'm quite bored with Overeem now. I liked Juiced Up Overeem when he used to fight over in Japan, and he was about the size of 4 people. But now, obviously, he's a talented guy, and he carries name value. But yeah, the rest of the card I like the look of. I think Gadelha is gonna run through Hill. I think Dan Ike's gonna beat Edson Barboza, but Barboza's always fun to watch. If you get caught by him in the first round and a half, you're going to be in trouble because that guy hits like a tray. I'll always go with your boy Eric Anders because he's got the best name. Your boy Eric Anders. It's almost
your boy.
It's almost as good as the Dean of Mean Keith Jardine. I love it.
Yeah,
but the bottom one is a struggle. I think because Song Yadong's got some skills, man, but Marlon Vera is just an absolute whiz. So
I think that's maybe a contender fight of the night, personally.
But the old G Samuel model, you've got a real banger to start off with. You get your crowd in, you keep them interested, and then all the way through, they might even watch Alistair Overeem wobble around the cage against Walt Harris.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, Chris. I think, but you've really got behind the matchmakers thinking on that card, because that's exactly as you said, two smaller guys who's going to really put on a show, and then it works its way up, doesn't it? What do you think of this card, Glenn?
Well, it's a good one, but it's not a spot on last week. There's 3 or 4 on there that excite me. Again, the main event. I think they're playing Walt Harris up a bit, didn't they, because of what's happened to him, and he is obviously a good fighter. But Overeem, I get a question for you, which my coach Richard Williams would have questioned in earlier. Do you know? It's clear the people who's come back off steroid bans have dropped in class, and let's be honest, Overeem is one of them. How much do you think that's affected him? Look at Ben Rothwell. He was banned once. I didn't know him much before when he was using steroids, how good he was. But, it's had a major effect on a lot of them. Should he still be fighting at the high level now? Now that they've come back, do they deserve to be there? Or is he there on his name now?
I say no to everyone apart from TJ Dillashaw, who deserves to come straight back into a title shot.
Chris, you sly devil.
And Katie would agree with me as well.
Yeah, that's a good question, Glenn. I mean, it's one of those. Do you mean should they be allowed sort of morally for cheating, or do you mean technically are they good enough to be there now?
Should there should there be a feeder club for UFC? Not taking nothing away from Cage Warriors, but it's a clear path to UFC now. Should they be told, right, we're to ban of 2 fights in the Cage Warriors? We're still going to test it. You're still in USADA's pool. Let's just see if you're cutting the mustard when you're not on steroids. You're not using your name anymore. We're going to have 2 fights there and then see if you're willing to come back.
But Glenn, honestly, if you put TJ Dillashaw in Cage Warriors, do you want to see anybody getting close to him?
No, not as much here, but just say similar. All right, there's no show similar in America that they can use for feeder clubs. But, is he only this? What I'm trying to say is, are they only that good because they've been on steroids? They need to prove their worth. That's not the reason they was there then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a tough one because the thing is they're contracted to the UFC as well.
Yeah, but you can still bet the thing is the UFC.
Then they break a contract.
But it is this breach of contract in the UFC.
Breach of contract, they're cheating.
But you look at what happened when the UFC had to cancel their London event. They went and put Darren Stewart and the guy that he fought against on Cage Warriors. Now, could you imagine Ian Dean and Graham Boyden's glee if they got TJ Dillashaw for 2 fights? Honestly.
Yeah, I understand, but I think that should be sort of setting the precedent. If you cheat, then look, you're not coming straight back. You've got to prove your worth. You're not going to be in a big. We'll still put you in the pool with potential of coming back, so you're getting tested to behave. Otherwise, you go in there. You've got to prove your worth first.
I'd rather see him have a lower down somewhere outside of the top 10 in UFC personally than see something like that. Like I said, I know it would. Like you said, Chrissy and Dean, these guys will be rubbing their hands together, but at the same time, would they really want to sacrifice an up-and-coming guy to get destroyed by TJ Dillashaw before their time. I don't know. I don't think it's fair.
You know full well that everyone outside of the UFC, Bellator, and ONE, every other promotion is wholly reliant on ticket sales. Doesn't matter the fact that Cage Warriors have got this deal with any TV channel. They're getting paid peanuts, absolute peanuts, because it means that their product gets pushed further up by actually having it on TV. So outside the top three, anyone wouldn't give a monkeys about getting their guys ruined by the UFC guys if they had a UFC guy on there and they had an absolutely packed out arena. You know, you could sell out, you'd sell out 10,000 tickets if you had someone.
I'd go. I'd definitely go and watch it. So
let's call a spade as well. UFC is the only show that tests as well. So all the lower shows with are probably fucking juicing anyway. So he's going to come down to people who are juicing anyway. So it's just says he'll be the only one that's tested, ready to go back in the UFC. But I think something's got to happen. They shouldn't have, all right, they've had a ban for 2 years now. I'll train for 2 years and then come back. It should be a gateway back. It shouldn't be straight back in. That's all I'm getting at.
I think probably a lot of people would agree with you, Glenn, to be honest. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Like you said, it's not about where they're fighting, but it's just that they're not coming straight back in after taking steroids and getting their belt straight back, which I think a lot of people would go with that. So
because there's a lot of people who just haven't cut the mustard since they come off a juice. You know, Overeem didn't get knocked out when he was juicing. Once he stopped taking juice, he's knocked out all the time.
Vitor Belfort.
Vitor Belfort, yeah. Me and you agreeing too much tonight, Chris. I'd better change next week, right?
We need Katie Hunt in the back on you to put Chris Emmanuel in his place. I'm telling you guys.
Stop talking sense then, Glenn. You're making so much sense.
There we are. Boys, as always, it's been a pleasure tonight. Chris, big thank you for joining me, buddy. Midweek, I know you're working. And same with you as well, Glenn. Always good catching up with you. For anyone watching, if you've enjoyed this, even if you haven't enjoyed it, please smash the like button, give us a subscribe. All our content is for fans, so we want to try and get as many people following our pages as we can and really keep building MMA UK. So, yeah, please do that. And Glenn, any last words?
Before we go, look at the question.
Okay, go on, Glenn. What was you going to say first, buddy?
If anyone wants to have a look at my fighter's profile, get to know your fighter, or even an interview themselves, hit me up and we'll talk about it. It's basically getting to know you. If you're an amateur fighter, want to get your name out there, drop me a message and we'll get some questions on.
There we go. And we've got one question coming in from Katie Hunter. I want to know how Peter Knox got on with his marathon on Tuesday. Now, what I'm led to believe, you might have to correct me on this, Chris. I'm led to believe Peter Knox lost a bet. Is that correct? Where he had to run a marathon?
Peter Knox made a wild claim that he could run a marathon. He said 5 hours is a shit time to run a marathon in. I can do it in 3. Now, he went and reneged on it this Sunday on the Late Show. He turned around and said, oh, yeah, I can still do it, but I can do it in 4 hours. And he was supposed to run a marathon in less than 4 hours on Tuesday. Now, whether he's done it or not, I very much doubt.
What I would suggest, I think that's going to be one for the Late Show, guys. We're going to have to see if Peter Knox has done it. He's going to have to prove it as well, I think, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. I think he needs a GoPro. I literally want him to have the GoPro on and watch him run that full time. But I want the GoPro on his face and I want to watch the pain that he's going through.
Yeah. He said, Peter Knox replied, he said he did it in 3 hours bang on, but his phone broke and didn't record it. So
I don't think he's doing it 3 hours on his push bike.
Good answer, Peter Knox. Good answer, buddy. But guys, always been a pleasure. And I will speak to you all again soon. And guys, for everyone watching, take care and enjoy the fights.
Ta-ra, buddy.
Bye, guys.